Meanwhile...
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Happy New Year, people. Let's keep the ball rolling. So, since the Frieren video did so well, I wanted to share my further thoughts on the demons with y'all. Before, it was very fun going over all the arguments against their portrayal and talking about what they don't get about it, but I actually want to put a spotlight on what works. So we'll be diving a little bit deeper into the narrative role they play in the story. In reaction to the video, I noticed some of you took issue with the fact that I called them an evil race, and that reaction is understandable as it is predictable, given what we'll cover a little bit later. The reason why I called them an evil race in my previous video is because that is what they functionally are in a narrative sense, not in a literal one. They function as a species or race that are holistically antagonistic and act as obstacles for our main characters. The main conflict between them and our heroes is not ideological, but existential. One side must go for the other to live. A simple man's hater. But morally speaking, are demons actually evil?
Yes, but actually no. What?
You see, they would be evil from our moral framework, but practically they have no sense of right or wrong. Just survival or death and maybe the stray curiosity. But that last part is mainly catered towards a select few. From the demon's perspective, there is no right or wrong behind them killing humans. The idea of malice doesn't even exist. Hell, the idea of consequences aside from death by a stronger hunter doesn't exist either. For this reason, Frieren Flom's likening them to animals seems pretty apt. That is, from a surface level view. See, contrary to what they or even some of the audience think, demons are not exactly animals. I don't blame anyone for making this comparison, but it's an oversimplification of what they are. They are beings driven mostly by their predatory instincts and lack many responses humans have to certain stimuli. But that's where the comparisons between demons and, say, tigers tend to end. They're not only super intelligent, but also sapient. I mean, if they weren't, it would kinda make having inner monologues pretty much impossible. Their knack for risk assessment and resourcefulness is incredible, even compared to other humans. They are incredibly self-aware, even to the point of contemplating or reflecting on certain things. Their motives are simple, but what makes them interesting is how they attain their goals and how the story slowly illustrates their mentality. Remember, demons aren't simply evil, they are apex predators who lack empathy, even towards each other. Take the example of when Lugner tricks the town mayor into not killing him. While being held at sword point, the demon managed to gaslight the ruler by using his empathy against him, all without understanding what the fuck he was even talking about. From this scene, we get an idea of how smart the demons are and how they see relationships, and the fact that they lack them more than any Discord mod. Demons live very long lives and are naturally powerful, so they don't need family dynamics as humans do. The concept doesn't exist. Further exploration shares that any cooperation between demons is purely transactional, a means to an end to increase their survival against their prey, and it hasn't really been stated yet in the series, but it doesn't seem like they have many reproductive urges either, which is pretty interesting. And of course their hierarchies are based on whoever has the biggest power level. No camaraderie or loyalty required. Which is why when Lugner found out that another one of theirs was killed, he was like, ha! Classic Darwinism. So judging from all what I said earlier, you might think that the demons don't have emotions. And you'd be wrong. Their emotional responses aren't varied, but they do have them. Roaming Trend did a great job pointing this out in his own video on the topic. Link in the description. He details things like Aura's terror after Frieren flexes her power level, or the abject confusion of that one demon child because of how little they understand the morality of their actions. Both of these are great examples, and you should definitely check out his video if you haven't already. But I want to highlight an emotion that isn't talked about that often. Pride, specifically in their magic. Demons are naturally gifted at magic, but not only that, they spend eons crafting their own unique spells. It's practically the most defining feature that we see of every single demon we encounter in the story. They see the art the same way as how we value expertise and skills. To them, their magic is something to study and take pride in. When it comes to fighting, the fullest extent of their abilities must be used if the situation allows it, which is why they never hide their magic power. It's not even considered. Granted, it's also used to maintain their hierarchy, but still. Even among the species of liars and manipulators, their magic is one of the few things they're actually honest about. Take the very first demon we meet, Qualm, one of the Demon Lord's most powerful mages. In his heyday, he created a fearsome magic spell, Zoltrak. But notice the bit of tragic irony behind his end. He wakes up after several decades to find out that not only is the Demon King dead, but his magic has been mass-produced freaking Microsoft style, and he gets killed by his own spell. Done by a mere human, no less. The spell that he created and perfected after countless years of study and experimenting on live people, as you do. The guy had to go down, but in a way, you can kinda acknowledge how that sucks for him. This is easy to miss given how monstrous looking Qualm is compared to the other demons in the series, but also how overtly non-sympathetic he was as a villain. But learning more and more about the demons recontextualizes this moment in an interesting way, in my opinion. It's not necessarily sympathetic, but it is a little humanizing. This level of pride in their magic even follows to Lugner, who called Frieren and Frieren insults to mages for suppressing their mana. They live their lives wearing their magical abilities on their sleeves, as a form to assert dominance. Anything less is just unfair. And that brings me to the most interesting part about Frieren's demons. The story may not give demons super tragic backstories for us to sympathize with, but they allow the circumstances of their deaths to humanize them in their own fucked up ways. Back to the Aura example, what happens when the music dies down? Does it end with Frieren simply triumphantly beating Aura with awesome music playing in the background all the way through? No. It shows how terrified she is. No tricks, no witty remarks, not even a huge monologue at the end. She doesn't even get vaporized the same way Qualm did. But much like that example, this is another point where a demon is killed by their own spell. Only this time, we get to see the slow terror sink in. The dilated eyes, the horrific grimace, the quivering of her arms, the sheer tears. And then, nothing. It's even more apparent with the demon child Himmel's party encounter. Despite the literal child murder they committed, the mayor of the village wanted to deprogram his mindset, as did Himmel. But after living there comfortably for a short while, the demon killed the man who fostered him. Why? Well, it was afraid that the mother of the child they murdered was still holding on to that grudge. Can't imagine why. Anyway, he thought that killing the mayor and giving his kid to the mother would chill her out. That didn't work out for him, but notice the immense confusion displayed throughout that instance up until the weapons were drawn. They legitimately didn't understand what they did wrong, and they were going into overdrive on how to get out of the situation. Like I said, things don't work out that way, and we hang on the harsh reality of the outcome. No character was happy about this, except for Frieren for obvious reasons. Though the demons need to be stopped, it's very clear that the series paints such actions as necessary, yet tragic. Annihilating a species for the sake of self-preservation is a tragic, tragic thing. And that is apparent to pretty much every character who isn't Frieren herself, or doesn't have a grudge against the demons inherently. You don't have to make the demons overtly sympathetic, or make their villainous behavior a choice for their deaths to have a bittersweet edge to them, or some humanizing element. As far as the anime is concerned, it's only scratched the surface. It fascinates me that even with a simple conflict like this, there can still be such an interesting level of depth here. Yet some don't want to dig much further. which is a choice. All this to say, Frieren's demons may not be the most complex antagonists. I'm not gonna sit here to try to convince you of that, but they're definitely more than just cannon fodder for the heroes. It's not lazy characterization, it's streamlined, because the story isn't about them. Frieren already has a lot of moving parts going around, especially when most episodes are just about the group traveling and doing side quests all the time. Demon encounters literally make up like 10% of the entire content, and that includes the manga. Anything more would simply detract from the focus. At least that's what I think. That said, Demon Encounters still retain some level of nuance and showcase the character growth of our main characters. I understand if it's not everyone's cup of tea, or if they find these types of villains too simplistic compared to the ones they actually enjoy. No shame in that, not everyone's Griffith. But that is not grounds to call the storytelling on display lazy or uncreative. There's clearly more thought put into it than that. And there's no harm in simply digging a little deeper. But hey, there's a chance I could be wrong here. But at least I know where I'm standing, and now, so do you. It's 2024, people. Welcome back to the program.